The internet has seen a lot of weird situations, but every once in a while, something shows up that makes people collectively pause and go, yeah, we need to talk about this. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the subject people on TikTok cannot stop talking about recently. Case in point, Timber Bowen. So yeah, this woman is obsessed with a man named Dylan. And according to these clips circulating online, this isn't just a crush, it's turned into something way more intense, way more public, and honestly, way more confusing than most people were prepared for. She's been openly talking as if they were in a relationship, and not just that, she's describing what she calls spiritual confirmations that he's supposedly meant to be her husband. In her version of events, this connection isn't up for debate. It's already decided. And if that wasn't enough to make the internet do a double take, the situation escalates into those moments where viewers are left wondering whether they're watching heartbreak, delusion, performance art, or some strange mix of all three. We mean, just look at her go on and on about why she believed Dylan liked her back.
Beginning, fuck that shit. Let me just start from the first day that I got there, okay? So, the first day that I got there to the program, it was just me and Dylan. We had this little one-on-one thing. As you guys know, he took me grocery shopping, okay? And he was just staring into my soul, like, the whole entire car ride. Like, he was actually just staring into my soul. And, like, we were just talking, we were just vibing, like, chatting it up, all that kind of stuff, you know, whatever, lovey-dovey.
This right here is delusion on another level, because believe it or not, the man she's talking to has no interest in her, and we can assure you that he was definitely not the one staring into her soul. Now, people online have been comparing this whole situation to Tyler Catastrophe. Remember the man who was obsessed with Wilbur Soot? Well, he probably still is. But honestly, we don't think this is anywhere near comparable. We mean, this girl makes Tyler Catastrophe look like an innocent child.
Of those natures, bro. Like, why the are you doing this? Literally, that's literally what I was saying. And you can ask anybody else that was up in that goddamn house that day, because they knew that I was ready to knock that mother out, bro. Okay, I don't really know. Like, I'm trying to, like, keep my emotions inside. Okay, because that day was crazy for me. That was really crazy for me. I literally stayed up all night, bawling my eyes out, literally to the point that I'm pretty sure I was, like, gagging, like, almost vomiting, because I literally stayed up all night, like, bawling my goddamn heart out. Literally, like, what the did I do? Like, why the is this happening? Like, I didn't really understand.
And look, before we get into any of this, we need to make one thing very clear. From everything that's been posted online, Timber very obviously seems like somebody who is struggling mentally. And this is not a situation where people should be sending harassment, bullying her, or trying to turn her into some kind of internet punching bag. That helps nobody. In fact, we advise people, just like Dylan did, to not interact with her pages. We mean, just look at these posts she made a while ago, and it genuinely shows that she's been struggling mentally for a long time. That being said, at the same time, though, this situation has escalated to a point where it's genuinely concerning, not just because of the obsession itself, but because of how public, intense, and persistent it's become online. And when you look into some of the other stories and alleged behavior surrounding her past, the whole thing becomes less cringe internet drama and more, how did nobody step in sooner? For instance, the fact that she is a literal convict who's been to jail and has harassed people before. Honestly, if the genders were reversed here, let's be honest, people would be reacting very differently. If a man were repeatedly posting about a woman he believed was secretly in love with him, claiming they were spiritually connected, talking about marriage publicly despite there being no actual relationship, and constantly making content centered around her, people would immediately call it stalking, and they would probably be right to do so. But with Timber, the conversation online has been strange. Some people treat it like a meme. Some think it's funny. Others are deeply uncomfortable watching it unfold in real time. And really, it's hard to know where the line is between internet spectacle and somebody clearly needing serious help. And trust us, once you actually start going through the lore surrounding this situation, it somehow gets even more bizarre. So let's start from the beginning. The woman at the center of all this is a 22-year-old TikTok creator known online as Timber Sperry. And yes, that last name is important, because Sperry is not actually her real surname. It's the surname of the man she's obsessed with, Dylan Sperry, which already tells you the level we're operating at here. She's built a decent following on TikTok with tens of thousands of followers, millions of views, and the majority of her online presence revolves around Dylan in some way. Now, once we started digging into her online presence, we found out that she actually has a lot of different accounts, and every single one of them is just as unhinged. To get to the point, according to her, Dylan and she are spiritually connected. connected, destined to be together, and in some videos she even speaks as if they're already basically married.
So basically, I just got done making a post saying Happy Mother's Day to my wife, aka husband, Dylan Sperry.
We're talking wedding planning, talking about their future children, picking out dresses, imagining their future life together publicly online. And the weirdest part is that according to Timber herself, this obsession didn't just randomly appear overnight. If you go to her TikTok page, there's an older pinned video with over 5 million views, where she's explaining how she allegedly had a vision while she was in jail that she and Dylan were meant to be together. Yeah, seriously.
A very spiritual awakening. I had a vision. And while I was in jail, I had a vision of this guy that was in a band. And, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I can still kind of see the vision, by the way. And, like, it's so heartwarming. But, like, my heart is literally beating so freaking fast right now. But, like, I was in jail, and I had the vision of the guy. And I seen that he had, like, a infant child, like, a toddler-sized child. From there, I had another spiritual vision of him, like, in that same night. Mind you, this was, like, 2 years ago, by the way. This is way before I ever met this guy.
And somehow that's only the beginning of this story. So according to Timber, she became convinced years ago that she would eventually meet some mysterious man with long blonde hair whose name would supposedly start with the letter D. And in her mind, when she met Dylan in September 2025, that was it. Puzzle solved. Prophecy completed. Case closed.
And my spiritual guidance said yes, that I marry this guy. And I was like, okay. So basically, fast forward, last year of 2025 of September, it was September 2nd, the day before I met the guy that I like. And the lady goes, by the way, the guy that you like now will not be the guy that you will be marrying. And I was like, what do you mean? Because I was like, I'm already like contemplating, like, do I really want to marry this guy? Like the guy from before that I was liking, like 10 months ago, almost over a year ago now. And I was already contemplating, I was like, do I really want to be with this guy? Like, my spiritual guidance told me in jail that I wouldn't be marrying him, you know? And I was like, I really wanted to go with my heart, but my heart left that guy. But my mind was there, and I was like, I just want to, like, stick to, like, what I felt like I made a promise for, you know what I mean? So it only kind of felt right for me to, like, still kind of like him. And then she was like, I can tell you that his first name starts with the letter D, but I can't tell you his last name, can't tell you anything else about him. And she was, like, also making it known that I was, like, basically going to meet this guy right away, like, as soon as I moved.
And ever since then, the obsession has seemingly consumed her entire online presence, to the point that she wants to get his tattoos on her body, along with his name.
I literally said, I can't wait to get Dylan's tattoos plus his name on me. So I want his ghost tattoo that's on his right arm. I want his shark tattoo that's on his right upper leg. I want his tattoo that are on his legs. They look like swords, like red, or like red sword things, I don't know.
So you can see clearly that when we say obsession, we don't mean a harmless celebrity crush or somebody posting a few edits of a guy they think is cute. We mean our page is flooded with content about Dylan. Now, before people jump into the comments saying, okay, but maybe she's just mentally unwell and has a delusional cute crush, what's the big deal? Well, here's where the situation starts becoming a lot more serious, because Dylan's not just some random influencer she saw online. Dylan actually works or worked at the psychiatric facility Timber was attending. In other words, this was somebody in a counselor or staff type role around her, and he talked about it himself in a video.
Manage this situation. I have to be very careful about what I say to protect myself legally. I was a life skills specialist or a direct support professional for a company working with people with special needs, and this person was a client to this company.
Now, this changes the entire tone of the story, because once somebody starts publicly claiming that a mental health worker was secretly in love with them, a patient leading them on, seducing them, or trying to pursue a relationship behind the scenes, those accusations can have real consequences for the other person involved. However, from everything publicly available, it's clear that Dylan himself has never acted like there was any romantic relationship happening at all. In fact, he eventually had to come online and address the situation directly because things had apparently escalated to the point where he was being harassed, stalked, and accused of cheating on a relationship that, according to him, never existed in the first place. Which is honestly insane to even say out loud. And what makes this whole thing even more uncomfortable is that Dylan actually handled the situation surprisingly calmly. Considering the circumstances, most people would probably be panicking, threatening legal action immediately, or disappearing off the internet entirely. Instead, he tried to address it in a mature and respectful way, while also making it clear that the situation had become deeply concerning. But before we get into Dylan's response video, I think we first need to look at some of the content Timber herself was posting about him, because once you actually see the pattern of behavior and the kinds of things she was uploading publicly, you start to understand why so many people online were genuinely disturbed by this whole situation. Now, before we continue, we do need to acknowledge something important here. A lot of people online have pointed out that Timber has a history of exaggerating stories, contradicting herself, and saying extremely outlandish things for attention. And later in this video, we'll get into some of the other controversies and incidents surrounding her internet presence, because trust us, this rabbit hole somehow keeps getting deeper. But for now, we're only going to focus on the recent Dylan situation itself, on the content she's publicly posted about him, because honestly, even without all the extra lore, the videos alone are concerning enough. So after her first viral story time, Timber continued posting non-stop about Dylan. She uploaded follow-up videos expanding on the situation, talking about supposed signs that proved Dylan secretly loved her, and trying to explain why she believed she was the one for him.
And I'm like, Dylan, I'm not really good at like electronics, all that kind of stuff. I ended up getting my TV and my PlayStation. Dylan was working, and I was like, hey, could you help me hook up my PlayStation and my TV? He was like, yeah, I can. He was like, yeah, hon, I could help you hook up your TV and all that kind of stuff, right? This dude was in my room with the smile on his face, like the happiest smile on his face. And he literally had a boner. Okay, he literally had a fucking boner.
Honestly, we feel sorry for him. This guy's literally a life skills specialist at this facility, and it's technically his job to help her with this kind of stuff. But she interpreted it as something else entirely.
And I came downstairs. I literally ran downstairs and I was like, Dylan, what is your band name? I was like, can I follow you? And he was like, yeah, you can follow me. And at this time, me and him were literally dating at this time. And we still are dating, but we were literally dating at this time. And because he literally asked me out.
As you can see, some of the arguments she's making here are genuinely painful to listen to because they sound so completely detached from reality. She would point to tiny interactions, coincidences, or random moments and interpret them as undeniable proof that Dylan was secretly in love with her the entire time. I mean, just look at this.
And that day, he wasn't even supposed to work that day. He came in on his day off, which made me think, okay, he came in on his day off because he likes me. Because he wants to, like, surprise me or, like, you know, something. All of a sudden, I literally have this vision, and I'm like, oh my god, he's literally going to give me something. Like, he's gonna gift me something, okay? And so he comes upstairs from outside because he was cleaning his truck. He has a big-ass, nice-ass truck, honestly. He was like, this bitch got like 8 million miles, 10 million miles. And I'm like, okay. And he's literally told me all the stories about how he's literally traveled everywhere. Like, we would literally travel to fucking Walmart and he would give me fucking cheesy tots. His cheesy tots, bitch. He would only share his cheesy tots with me. Stop playing. He only shared his cheesy tots with me. He didn't offer anybody else in the car if they wanted some motherfucking cheesy tots. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. Them bitches are my cheesy tots, bitch, okay? But anyways, he comes upstairs and he has this little, like, sunflower clip And it's like so adorable, and I'm like, oh my god, how the fuck does he know that sunflowers are my favorite flower? I'm like, how the fuck does he know that sunflowers are my favorite flower? And he like demonstrates, and he goes, hey hon, you like, and you put this in your hair. And I literally remember, and like I wasn't really feeling good, so, and I was like just waking up out of my sleep as he was coming upstairs into my room to give me something.
We don't really think we have the words to describe what this is. However, the situation escalated even further because at some point, she stopped speaking about the relationship like it was a future possibility and started talking as if it had already happened. She began claiming that they had gotten married in June of this year, which is weird because June has not arrived yet. And there's more. She started discussing the kind of wedding dress she wanted for the ceremony, what their life together would look like, and eventually even began talking about having a daughter together.
In TAF. So, guys, I literally have a literal wedding dress picked out. It is so freaking cute. Like me and my husband and my daughter. I'd be like wanting to joke around and call her my daughter-in-law because like, would that make sense? But I don't really want to say that though because I love her like my real daughter, so.
She was even posting content about decorating and planning a room makeover for their 5-year-old daughter.
Back to our like wedding plans and like bedroom plans for our children. I'm either thinking about getting her the big pink bed, the big queen bed, I believe it's a queen.
And honestly, it's a rabbit hole that's hard to completely get down to because Timber here likes to post 10-minute long videos. What's worse is that each and every one of her storylines is packed with new, absurd, made-up details that'll make you go, wait, where did this come from? Where did the freaking daughter come from? And that's the point where this stops feeling like internet cringe and starts feeling genuinely alarming. And watching somebody publicly spiral into that kind of fantasy in front of thousands and thousands of people is honestly unsettling. She would upload emotional edits about Dylan, sing songs for him.
Dylan Sperry, I wanna get married to you, 'cause you are like the diamond in the sky.
But now that we understand just how obsessed Timber seemed to become with this guy, we think it's time to finally talk about the man this entire situation revolves around, Dylan Sperry. For those of you who don't know, Dylan is the lead vocalist of a band called Yote, and if you look through Timber's TikTok account, it's obvious she became heavily invested in both him and his music. She constantly referenced his band, posted about the songs, and spoke about him. But the big question is, how did Timber even discover Dylan's music and online presence in the first place? Well, depending on who you ask, the story changes completely. According to Timber, their connection was some kind of destined spiritual relationship that started when they were just kids.
Okay, so apparently you guys really want a story time about how me and Dylan technically met when we were children. And about how I technically helped create our child, our 4-year-old daughter, together. Yes, I do know that she is not my biological child. Yes, I am totally okay with that, but I'm never going to put it into her face that she's not my biological child.
Well, her story keeps changing, and we'll talk about this in a short while. And by the way, the daughter that she keeps talking about is actually Dylan's daughter, who she thinks is her daughter, and she helped create her somehow. Honestly, just scary. But according to Dylan, what actually happened was much more straightforward and much more uncomfortable. Now, one thing you should know is that Timber keeps saying that Dylan gave her his account and band name, and he went out of his way to give him this information.
Asking him back out. Like, if you knew that I was obsessed with you, if you know that I'm in love with you, then why the fuck would you go out of your way to give me your social media? Like, are you okay? You know that I'm in love with you. You know that I'm obsessed with you. Why the fuck would you give me your social media? Like, what? What, bitch?
However, Dylan claims that while working at the psychiatric facility, he had mentioned his band during a conversation with another resident who happened to be Timber's roommate. Timber allegedly overheard the conversation, found his social media accounts online afterward, discovered his band pages, and from there became increasingly fixated on him.
This person, I believe, overheard a conversation I was having with one of her roommates discussing rock and roll music and talking about my band. and found my band, and through that links to my Facebook and my social media accounts, and kind of ran with it. I'm not going to elaborate any further on this situation regarding this person. I don't want to feed it. I think feeding it will only cause it to continue. This person has a pattern of posting extreme things on the internet for attention. So please do not harass or bully this person. If you can, avoid contact with this person. And on a personal note, if you see anything regarding my daughter, if you see anything deemed as a threat, I would greatly appreciate it if you would record that video or save it or send it to my band's page, so that way we can save it and I can continue building a file so that I may protect myself.
We mean, imagine being randomly dragged into a massive viral internet drama simply because somebody decided to build an entire online fantasy around you and your family. This man has a real life. He has a family. He has kids. And suddenly thousands of strangers online know his name because someone keeps publicly talking about him as if they're secretly married. That's an insane situation for anybody to deal with. And despite all of that, Dylan still publicly asked viewers not to harass or bully Timber.
I won't elaborate on what I'm doing legally to protect myself. I won't elaborate on the company that I worked for, and I won't elaborate on this person, what's going on with them, their diagnosis, anything. I really, really appreciate everyone's concern. I am safe. My family is safe. I'm not recording this from my home, and she does not know where my family lives. She only knows what she has access to on the internet, and my Facebook page I use for slight personal use and mainly advertising my music, if I can. So, I am safe. My family is safe. Thank you for your concern. I love you very much. And if you like my music, stick around. I'm gonna try and keep making more and see how long that goes. You know, so I run out of ideas, I guess. Love you, bye.
He made it clear that he believed she needed help rather than hate, which honestly says a lot about how maturely he approached the situation, considering everything happening around him. At the same time, though, you can tell this entire ordeal has probably been exhausting for him. Now, as for the claims that Dylan supposedly gave her his social media accounts himself, even Timber's own videos seem to contradict that, because in one of her storylines, she basically explains in detail how she searched through his online presence herself, looking through Spotify, Facebook, social media pages, band accounts, and pretty much every corner of the internet connected to him.
I overhear him talking about a story about how he was in a band. And technically the first day that I met him from the program, like the first day that we reunited in the program, excuse me, he did tell me that he was in a band. And I totally forgot that he told me that he was in a band. I totally forgot. I was like, because I would hear him singing all the time. And I was literally like, Dylan, you're honestly a really, really good singer. And he would always be like, thank you. And then he did tell me that he was a lead singer of a band. Found his actual name through his not SoundCloud, Spotify. Through his Spotify from his band. From his, band page. Music website page, whatever. And so I added him on Facebook. And he didn't block me off of his band page at all until I started sharing his music. And I'm like, well, this is kind of weird. If I'm your girlfriend, then why the fuck can't I share your music? Like, are you okay? And I was just very, very confused as to why he blocked me from his band page. And then I ended up finding his Facebook. Okay, and I set him under my future husband, and then I deleted the chat because I was kind of scared that the other workers would try to go through my phone and see the fact that we were technically together.
So yeah, she actually stalked him and kept sharing his music videos. And guess what? She ended up getting blocked and also got a warning. We found this post on Reddit. It's supposed to be an apology from Timber and a note from Dylan on behalf of the band, stating that she's not allowed to associate herself with the band or share their music online. So yeah, a major part of what Timber's been telling the internet either changes constantly or doesn't seem to line up with her own previous stories. And honestly, one of the biggest examples of that is the story of how she and Dylan supposedly met. At first, Timber claimed that while she was in jail, she had some kind of spiritual vision or premonition that she would eventually meet a blonde man whose name started with D. Then she said she finally met Dylan in September, and according to her version of events, one of their first interactions involved him taking her grocery shopping and spending time with her. But later on, the story suddenly changed again. In newer videos, she started claiming that she and Dylan had actually known each other since childhood. Yes, somehow the lore expanded again. According to this newer version, Timber says she was connected to Dylan years ago through either a former boyfriend or an old best friend situation, and then she uploaded this incredibly long and confusing story time, attempting to explain how she and Dylan were apparently childhood friends. And honestly, trying to follow this video feels like getting trapped in someone else's fever dream. We're not gonna force you guys to sit through 10 straight minutes of that, so let us summarize it for you. According to Timber, Dylan had two moms, one of whom had a daughter who was supposedly Dylan's sister. Timber claims she knew this sister from around 6th grade through social media, despite them not even going to the same school. Then, out of absolutely nowhere, Timber claims this girl supposedly asked if she wanted to be adopted into Dylan's family, which already sounds bizarre enough.
I don't remember if she went to the same school as me or not, but I do remember that one day she messaged me and goes, my moms want to know if maybe they could adopt you.
But then midway through the story, the entire thing somehow derails into talk about past lives, sirens, spiritual connections, and being abducted by a siren in another lifetime. Because according to Timber, she herself is a siren in this life. We genuinely wish we were making that up. And oh, by the way, she also said that children are attracted to her.
I'm a mermaid from my past life, and in this life, and when I was a mermaid, I was abducted by, by a siren. I was abducted by a siren as a little child, as a little girl, okay? And I, became a mermaid. Somehow I wasn't a siren, but it's kind of a little weird because in this life, I am technically a siren, I believe, and technically not a mermaid. And I'm like, I don't really know what that means, but at the same time, children attract themselves to me, so I'm like, hopefully that's not something creepy, because I don't kidnap kids.
At that point, the story completely stops sounding like a real-life explanation and starts sounding like somebody smashed together TikTok spirituality, Wattpad fanfiction, and a paranormal podcast at 3 a.m. But despite how chaotic and disconnected the story became, the video eventually circled back to Dylan again, with Timber claiming that the two of them had always been destined to date once they got older.
Decided that if we were ever going to date, that we would wait until we both got a little more older and mature to actually understand love and relationships. I have been single for 7 years. He's been single for probably about longer than that. The only thing is he has an actual alive child, so. But that's basically how we met each other, and we've been messaging each other off and on throughout our whole entire lives. And the last time we got a hold of each other, I was living with an ex-best friend of mine, and my ex-best friend smashed my phone. I smashed his phone, and I didn't ever have a way of getting a hold of him. And then I stayed into a mental hospital, and then they placed me into this housing facility that he worked in, and we met each other, and we clicked right away. And the first day that I met him, I fell in love with him.
She also said that at the same time she and Dylan were allegedly introduced, Dylan was already dating someone, but she still downplayed it, claiming this girl and Dylan were just friends.
Me and him were talking, and he was like, I have a girlfriend. And I was like, okay. And me and the girlfriend started talking a little more after the visit, and it was totally fine. I also had a boyfriend at the time, sorry. And basically we just started messaging each other, me and the baby mom. Sorry, I was trying to remember where I was at. Me and the girlfriend at the time, which is now his baby mom. So they haven't even been in a, they technically really weren't even boyfriend and girlfriend. They were really just friends. And they just called each other boyfriend and girlfriend because one's a guy, one's a girl, and they're friends. And which is exactly what the baby mom had explained to me. She was like, I don't want you to think that I want your man, but she was like, but I really do kind of want to have a child with this guy though. And I was like, really? Let me plant a seed into your soul.
So yeah, there is that. Apparently Dylan's girlfriend at the time, who's now his wife, by the way, wanted to have a child with him, and Timber ended up helping them in some way, which she then framed in a way that made it sound like the child was somehow technically also hers. Or at least that's what she seems to imply. It's honestly hard to follow exactly what she means.
So I planted a seed into her soul, and I kind of explained to her, I was like, I'm a mermaid from my past life. We've been trying to have a kid and it's not working, and I just kind of really want to find someone else, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I was like, okay. So I basically got her pregnant.
At this point, we don't even know if she understands how this works. It just becomes really difficult to know what parts of Timber's stories are even grounded in reality, because when somebody's talking about Dylan secretly loving them while also discussing being a mermaid or having spiritual siren lore in the same conversation, it's hard to take any of these claims at face value. And to be clear, none of this is meant to mock mental illness. If anything, the deeper you go into this situation, the more obvious it becomes that this is somebody who seriously needs intervention and support instead of internet validation. But the reason people are so alarmed by the Dylan situation is that, according to online discussions and Timber's own videos, this apparently isn't the first time something like this has happened, because Dylan is not the only person she's allegedly built elaborate stories around. And this next part of the story is important, because a lot of people online don't even know about it. According to public discussions surrounding Timber, there have been reports of multiple arrests in the past, including incidents involving harassment and assault allegations. We didn't find much detailed information about her offenses. Still, we did come across 2 mugshots from different time periods and some criminal records suggesting convictions related to harassment, third-degree theft, and domestic abuse assault. So yes, she's being described online as potentially dangerous, which is also probably why she's ended up in a mental health facility in the first place. And because of that, many are questioning why she appears to have access to unsupervised internet use at all. However, getting back to the story of her jail and her other victims, one of the situations people keep bringing up involves a man she referred to online as her ex-boyfriend or ex-best friend. Although many viewers watching the situation now would probably describe him more as another victim of obsessive behavior rather than a normal ex-relationship. From what people were able to piece together online, Timber herself told a long story about becoming fixated on this man named Cody, who she described as both a childhood friend and her baby daddy.
Elementary school. Okay, let's just start at elementary school. Okay, so this dude, Cody, is the guy's name, the baby dad. Okay, I don't even want to call him my baby dad though. Like, that's how not obsessed I am with him. Like, I'm just using whitewash terms for your guys' sake. Okay, so you guys can understand the story. So if I call him my baby dad, like, I don't fucking like this guy at all. At all. Not at all. Not at all. Okay. So anyways, I'll start with elementary school. So this dude keep on hitting me up.
And yes, once again, somehow every person in these stories conveniently turns out to be a childhood connection, best friend, soulmate, or spiritually destined partner. And oh, also, Cody was gay.
Used to go to. She was like a teacher para, something like that. Like, she would help people with their, like, probes, or like reading probes, math probes, all of that stuff. And she literally is helping me with my reading test. And she's like, by the way, I just want you to know that my son is gay. And I'm like, if your son is gay, then why does he keep asking me out? Like, I'm feeling very uncomfy. And she's like,
And I don't know. It's like, it's so fucking dumb. Like, I can't even explain it, okay? Like, that's just how fucking dumb it is. That's just how fucking dumb it is, bro. Like, why do you fuck? Like, literally, why the fuck me?
Again, we're not going to subject you to 20 minutes of torture because she did upload a 2-part video about this situation. But according to Timber's version of events, she claimed she became pregnant with twins and was trying to tell this guy about it. But the story allegedly escalated into repeated attempts to contact him, showing up at his house, and eventually an incident where police were called after she was reportedly outside the home.
Realizing that I am actually pregnant and that I'm not fucking delusional is August 8th, August 9th, August 10th of 2023. The month after I conceived the twins. I miscarried one in the toilet of the mental hospital. The mental hospital grabbed my baby out the toilet because I didn't feel comfortable flushing the toilet.
Yeah. She lied a bunch about being pregnant, and the details she's giving here just don't sound real. And also, apparently this Cody person also had a crush on her stepbrother. As we said, the stories keep getting weirder and weirder.
Guy that the Cody guy is gay for, the stepbrother, my stepbrother, whatever. And I was like, hey, I am pregnant with Cody's kid. And he's like, how the fuck are you pregnant with Cody's kids? We're gay, this, and this. And I'm like, dude, this literally happened. And then they started making up this story about me saying how I broke into Cody's mom's house when nobody was there. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not even a criminal. I'm not a criminal. I've never broken into anybody's house before. I've never even stolen ever a day in my life.
In her retelling, she tried to present herself as this abandoned, helpless, pregnant girl with nobody there to support her, while portraying everyone else as cruel and uncaring.
I'm like, how else can I fucking lure him into wanting to be present in his own child's pregnancy, of my own pregnancy with his own child? So I was like, okay, I remember the day that his grandpa passed away. He calls him Pop. How would I not know this if we didn't used to be best friends when we were kids, okay? He literally would call him Pop. And I can't remember the date exactly, but he either passed away the 13th of July or he passed away the 14th or the 15th of July. I can't remember, I'm sorry. But, and he passed away like a really long time ago when we were in elementary school. So, or when we were in junior high school, and I only remember this because I was like, why did my best friend not come to school today? Okay. And he literally told me because his grandpa passed away, which I was like, okay, whatever, that's fine. And so I was like, all right, so what if I just lure him with his favorite snacks? Because I started remembering about him the more that I was like obsessing over him. So I was like, okay, I remember all of his snacks, all of the drinks that he likes, blah, 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 blase. So I got them bitches, and I gave it to the mom, or I gave it to someone. Oh, that was the first time that I went to their house. That time they did call the cops, but I ended up leaving. Before the cops got there. That day that I brought the snacks, which I believe that day was March 3rd or March 4th or March 5th or March 6th.
So yeah, she was basically harassing them. But guess what? She also lied to police officers, telling them any urine, blood, or saliva test does not work on her because she has low HCG levels, which, we're sorry, sounds incredibly suspicious.
I was telling her, I'm like, hey, I am pregnant with Cody's children. Well, child now because I had a miscarriage with one. And she just like, blah, 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 blah. Didn't really give a fuck. And, some weird ass shit went down. Like, when I tell you weird ass shit, I mean weird ass fucking shit went down. The mom came to her house. It is the mom's house. His mom's house. The mom came to the house from her job. And we got into it. We got into an altercation. And she was like, I don't want to fucking see you ever again. My son doesn't like you. He doesn't give a fuck about you. My son is gay. This, and this. So I'm like, whatever. All right, whatever. So then fast forward to the July 14th or 15th that I went there. At that time, I was 5 months overdue. March, April, May, June, July. July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. That's 9 months of me being pregnant, okay? And all of a sudden, I ended up talking to the cop. The cop was like, we weren't going to take you to jail, but basically because you have this warrant, whatever, out for your arrest due to the domestic from December of 2022, or of 2023, sorry, when I was 5 months pregnant. I don't really remember. Like, I'm having so much fucking PTSD right now, sorry. But basically they decided to take me to jail. The cops were like, are you pregnant? Well, I told them I was pregnant. They were like, are you pregnant? And I explained to them that I had this thing where I have a disorder where my pregnancy doesn't come back positive through blood, urine, or saliva, because it's like low CHG levels or HCG levels or something like that. And they basically police brutality'd me when I swear to God, I wasn't even doing anything wrong. I was just sitting there, and I started instantly bawling my eyes out. I started having a spiritual vision of the police dragging me around and of my baby being, yeah. So that night, my baby's heartbeat died while I was in jail. So thank you. If you don't want to believe me, don't believe me. I don't give a fuck. But if you're spiritual, you should know the truth.
We mean, this is just on another level. And again, this is where the situation becomes difficult to untangle, because our stories constantly shift, contradict each other, or become more elaborate over time. However, every time you think you've reached the strangest part of the story, another layer gets added on top of it. So there's a creator online by the name of Chloe who actually contacted this Cody guy. And even though Cody didn't want to get online and bring attention to himself, he did end up communicating with Chloe and shared his side of the story. And according to him, he never even did anything to her. They were never in a relationship at all.
It was at this point I figured out that she'd been going to my house when I'm not there, and my mom has sleep apnea, so she was out cold in her room while this transpired. Once I figured this out, I made a police report and everything, spoke with an officer who's arrested her previously and knows of her, but he ended up saying he can't do anything unless she's there, pretty much. But I made my claim because I was pissed off. Once I did that, a few more days go by and I'm with my boyfriend at his house, and my mother tells me Timber is here on the back porch. We rush there immediately and find her there. I'm yelling at her, cursing, getting aggressive with my words, trying to make her leave, and she wouldn't go. My mother calls the police, and while they're on the way, I'm inside the house talking with Luke, and my mom is out there one-on-one being kinder than I was, telling her she needs help, she needs to leave me alone and stop coming here, stalking me, posting misinformation about me. She wasn't even flinching. She was so in her world and caught off guard that I was with a boy. Then me and Luke sat down and told her what we've been wanting to get off our chest for a minute about her and the bullshit she's been causing us. She didn't take our relationship seriously and thought it was all some prank. Eventually the police came and arrested her, and I didn't see her again until passing by in a car, and she was walking on the sidewalk with a cart from a store like she was homeless. I read that. I was in shock. I said, that is actually insane. I am so sorry. I can't even imagine. Then Cody followed up with, just wanted to clear the air because lots of people are trying to put together what she's saying, and I needed to set the record straight, at least about me and my boyfriend. We never had any kind of intercourse. I'm not too sure where this whole I'm pregnant bullshit is coming from. I'm not a monster. I'm a victim. And immediately I let him know, we know he is a victim. We fully believe his story. We know that Timber is lying, but we also want to help the internet to not speculate on all of this, and just clear the air, because there's no reason to talk about it, and honestly, people are going to talk until things are cleared up. Unfortunately, that is just the way the internet does work in this day and age. And then he did give me permission to show everybody what he said. He did also say that he wants her to leave him alone, and he does feel bad for anybody who's had to put up with her insanity. Absolutely agree with that. My heart goes out to the victims of Timber.
So yeah, it was actually her who was allegedly harassing this poor guy, forcing herself into his life, and even reportedly showing up at his house and wearing his clothes, and then having the audacity to go online and talk about him like he was the villain in this story. Honestly, it's just disturbing. But if you think this is where everything ends, you're completely mistaken, because then came the same breakup/heartbreak saga, where she started claiming that Dylan had broken her heart, especially after Dylan publicly addressed this situation and reportedly started distancing himself once things began getting too intense online. Now, Dylan's response video came after all of this, and for some reason we can't find the original rejection videos on her page anymore, but they're still circulating online.
The next day or later on that week, he starts acting really sketchy. And I'm like, why is my man acting sketchy as like he got something to hide? Okay. Tell me why. I literally come downstairs and it's like nighttime outside because it's literally pitch, like the room was kind of like dimmed dark downstairs and the outside was black. So I know this was a different day because he worked night this day. Basically, he starts rejecting me. You haven't rejected me not one time since I've been here. But all of a sudden, you're rejecting me? Okay, I'm pissed. So he's sitting in the chair and his phone is like this on the chair rest. And his phone is like this on the chair rest. By the way, I'm on TikTok Live on my other phone. His phone is like this on the chair rest and he starts going. And then all of a sudden, and like he looks sad as, and then all of a sudden he does one of these numbers. He has his phone like this and he goes, and some fat ass motherfucking bitch was on his phone.
So yeah, in this first video, she explained how Dylan started acting strange toward her, how she believed it was because he was cheating on her, because at this point she had already convinced herself that this man was her boyfriend. However, what we really think actually happened is that Dylan probably started realizing the situation was getting way more serious and uncomfortable than he initially thought, and he needed to distance himself from her. But Timber clearly was not willing to accept that. Instead, she started posting increasingly emotional and aggressive videos, and at one point, she was basically threatening to quite literally throw hands on him.
And now that I know what his mom looks like, I low-key think it was his mom, okay? So I'm like, who's this? And I'm getting aggressive as I'm literally threatening to beat his ass. I'm literally threatening to beat that bitch ass on the phone, all that shit, all that extra miles, all that shit, okay? And he just like started just acting really fucking strange that day. And like he started taking pictures of him doing this, like sad face with a heart, and I'm like, dude, you never are this goddamn low, bro. Like, you are never this goddamn low. I don't even have a hole in my phone. I don't have nothing of those natures, bro. Like, why the are you doing this? Literally, that's literally what I was saying. And you can ask anybody else that was up in that goddamn house that day, because they knew that I was ready to knock that mother out, bro. Okay, I don't really know. Like, I'm trying to like keep my emotions inside. Okay, because that day was crazy for me. That was really crazy for me. I literally stayed up all night, bawling my eyes out, literally to the point that I'm pretty sure I was like gagging, like almost vomiting, because I literally stayed up all night, like bawling my goddamn heart out. Literally, like, what the did I do? Like, why the is this happening? Like, I didn't really understand. And then I kept on having this really weird spiritual vision, really weird spiritual download. And it was basically telling me how the was gonna go with the Dylan.
And guess what? She also made a reaction video responding to Dylan's statement. And oh man, the level of delusion in that video is honestly hard to process. Now, if you've seen Dylan's original video addressing the situation, you probably noticed there was a flower visible in his car. Well, according to Timber's interpretation of events, she somehow convinced herself that the flower was meant for her.
Anyways, so I just felt the need to say something. Is the fact that that flower in Dylan's video is literally for me. So I don't really care about what none of you fucking hoes on TikTok have to say. Like, 90,000 people love him for me, and I love him for me. Honestly, actually, over 1.2 million people love Dylan for me. So I personally don't care what you guys have to say about me or my man. But that flower, though, I literally, like, just had chills, like, run through my body, and like I almost just started crying. Like you guys can see like the tears in my eyes right now.
And at that point, you genuinely have to wonder, did she even listen to a single thing this man said in the video? Because Dylan was very clearly trying to create distance and set boundaries, while Timber somehow interpreted parts of the video as secret signs and hidden messages directed toward her. But wait, because somehow things got even worse. Not long after that, another TikTok account connected to her uploaded a video where she claimed that her mother was taking her away somewhere. And then once again, she started claiming that she was pregnant.
So what is up, you guys? Today is my official move-out day for the hotel. Unfortunately, I am panicking, by the way. Like, I'm mentally panicking, physically panicking, emotionally freaking panicking right now, okay, guys? So, today's my move-out day. My mom is coming to get me. We haven't been getting along very well, and I'm really freaking scared. So, I hope that everything goes well. If this goes wrong, I could be very badly hurt. But I also am still pregnant with my child. Well, mine and Dylan's child is just not Dylan's biological child. Like, he still claims my baby, but he just knows that he or she isn't his biological child, which is totally okay. Oh yeah, and also happy Mother's Day to Dylan, by the way, guys. So everyone, make sure you guys go tell Dylan Sperry happy freaking Mother's Day.
Yes, again. And this honestly seems to be a recurring pattern throughout many of the stories surrounding our online presence. Becoming intensely attached to a man, building an entire emotional narrative around him, and then eventually introducing pregnancy claims into the situation. Something is very clearly wrong here, and honestly, the entire thing is sad, concerning, exhausting, and genuinely unsettling all at the same time. But if you think the drama ended there, you are very mistaken, because while we were putting this video together, more and more information just kept appearing online. Multiple creators started digging deeper into her background, trying to contact family members, looking into old posts, and turning this entire situation into a full-blown internet investigation. There are also discussions online involving her family dynamics, including claims and rumors about her mother and people around her. Then there were the screenshots circulating online that allegedly showed threats being sent to family members. And of course, there's also the live stream situation. A few days ago, Timber reportedly went live with a group of random people online. Honestly, it became another example of the internet doing what it always does, finding somebody visibly unstable, turning them into a spectacle, and pushing the situation further and further for entertainment. And that live stream is genuinely uncomfortable to watch. Because while we are absolutely not saying that Timber's behavior is okay, it's also painfully obvious that this is somebody who appears deeply unwell. And the internet has this horrible habit of finding vulnerable or unstable people and escalating the chaos around them instead of stepping away. Yes, Timber's responsible for the things she has posted publicly. Yes, she's put herself online willingly. But at the same time, thousands of people mocking, provoking, and farming reactions from somebody who's clearly spiraling is not helping the situation either. And a lot of people online seem to think this way. Honestly, the best thing people could do at this point is stop interacting with her content entirely. Because the more attention this gets, the worse the situation seems to become. And genuinely, many people online are now questioning why she still appears to have unrestricted internet access while all of this is unfolding publicly in real time, especially now that trolls, live streams, reaction creators, and endless online attention have become part of the situation too. At this point, Timber is now being questioned online over multiple controversial statements and bizarre live stream moments. But honestly, it's difficult to even tell how aware she is of the things she's saying anymore. What we do know is that there are better ways to bring awareness to situations like this than turning somebody's mental health spiral into internet entertainment. And on that note, we're gonna end today's video here. We tried our best to cover as much of this situation as possible, but honestly, this entire story is so messy and keeps evolving literally every single day. Because even now, Timber is still uploading videos and reportedly talking about yet another man who's also named Dylan.
So basically, you guys are literally blowing me up about my freaking sneaky link. This is honestly so freaking ridiculous. Like, I am so, like, happy that you guys care that much about my sneaky link. His name is also Dylan, by the way. Like, I know that this is a little ironically weird. And his last name also starts with the letter S, and he also has long blonde hair. And he also has a lot of freaking tattoos. Like, a lot of
She's uploading videos showing someone's shoes and saying that it is her sneaky link. However, people are already pointing out that they are literally her own shoes. At this point, we genuinely don't even know where this story is headed anymore. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a comment below and let us know your thoughts on the situation. And once again, please do not send hate or harassment toward anyone involved.